This has been a lot, I know. Been talking a lot about all the different witnesses who called the tip line, who said they allegedly saw Lacey that day. There was a lot of them that were never contacted by the police. Times weren't verified, none of that. So I've covered that in a bunch of previous videos. But now the question remains, well, why didn't the police do this? And I've said all along, I think they set their sights on Scott very early on. And that's perfectly okay, because let's face it, most of the time it's the fucking husband. And he's the last one to see her. Nobody else was around. It's really pretty obvious that it could be him. And they felt that 10 minutes in. They called the homicide division 10 minutes into their first visit to the Peterson home. So they immediately suspected, based on his behavior or based on the look of the home or something, there was something in their gut that they thought, it's this guy. So they were laser focused on him from the beginning. Now, as we know through this investigation, right? It's the end of December. They start to find out about Amber. They're looking at the financial things. They're looking at all kinds of different things because there has to be motive. There has to be more. There has to be a reason. So they're looking into all of this. But during that period of time, before they even knew about Amber, there were a lot of other leads as to sightings and different questions and different things that could have been run down and weren't. So you got to ask yourself this question. Why didn't they? I'm going to give them a little bit of credit here because there was a lot of tips, a lot of tips coming in, and they probably just simply didn't have the manpower. But with the ones they did follow up on, like I said earlier, Amber called them and they were like, oh, a girlfriend, call that one. In my opinion, they immediately prioritized the things that would help boost their case against Scott, which again, when you're a detective and you're trying to close this case, especially a high pressure, very publicized one like this, I could understand why you would keep going down that tunnel and not want to get distracted. But there are some legitimate things here that they didn't look into that I will question. And as a juror, I would sit there and go, how do you expect me to vote guilty when you didn't even do all of the legwork? So Garagos asked Detective Grogan some of these questions when he was up on the stand. So for starters, Grogan says the Karen service time frame of 10/18 was really the linchpin. Once Karen service told them this was 10/18, they couldn't mathematically make any of those other sightings work. There was only a few of them that happened before, but the bulk of them happened a little later, and it just didn't work with that dog being in front of the house at 10/18. But like I just said in the last video, Karen's service didn't come up with the 10/18 time until January 3rd. So between December 24th, when she first said 10:30, and January 3rd, when she changes it to 10/18, there is a 9-day period in there where they could have been running down every single lead because every single one of those leads would have fit in before 10:30. So they should have been running like crazy to track down those leads because they didn't get the 10/18 time frame until January 3rd. The other reason that Grogan says they didn't run down all these leads was because most of these witnesses had said that they had seen a woman wearing black pants and that Lacey's body, when it was found, was wearing tan pants. I think you know where I'm going here, right? Lacey's body was not found until April. I think it was the 14th or 15th. So mid-April. So again, when you're getting tips on the 28th or 29th of December, you're saying, oh, well, she was not wearing that outfit. How would you know that? Because the body wasn't found for 7.5 more weeks. So you had plenty of time to run down every single one of those leads. At the time this tip line was started, and the time that the most of the tips were coming in, especially all of these witnesses that I've just talked to, there's a window where all of these tips were coming in. During that window, the police, they had their time frame set that Scott left the house probably around 9:30 or 9:40. There was a neighbor that saw him loading the umbrellas. He said something about he was kind of basically leaving as she was watching Martha Stewart. So that put it right around between like 9:38 and 9:45 or something like that is when he left the house. Karen's service said she found the dog at 10:30. Got a 45-minute window where no less than 13 people claimed to have saw her walking during that window. And he didn't follow up on the leads. And I understand when everyone's like, I saw her walking a dog, I saw her walking a dog, I saw her walking a dog. I get it. That gets mundane. But when there's a tip like, I saw a pregnant woman being forced into the back of a van, even if it's nothing to do with Lacey Peterson, I don't think you have any fucking excuse not to look further at that one. How do you not? There's already been conversation about other pregnant women in the local area that had been harmed and killed. So why wouldn't you think, oh shit, that's 2 pregnant women that are missing. We got something going on here, but they don't. They just completely ignore Tom Harshman. It'd be very, very difficult for me. I've always wondered, why were all of these witness statements debunked? And this is the reason the police felt comfortable debunking them. They thought Scott had unalived her the night before. Karen Service gave the time that she thought made sense, even though they never proved it. And they were able to completely disregard all of the other people just based on those 2 things. And again, I'm back to, if I'm the juror, do I even think that this is a fair trial? I don't know that it is. And would I have reasonable doubt? The more videos I make, the more I think I do. And I just can't help but think that this wasn't a fair trial.